Meanwhile, Twitter and Facebook say they've shut down hundreds of accounts aimed at stirring opposition to protests in Hong Kong on social media. The companies say the accounts were part of a coordinated campaign backed by the Chinese state. Our business editor Stephen Carl is here with more on this story. Stephen, what exactly did these social networks uncover?
Well, this was a network of accounts spreading disinformation about the protests in Hong Kong. There were things like posts comparing the protesters to cockroaches or to ISIS fighters, or accusing the media of favouring the protesters in their coverage of the demonstrations. Now, Twitter says that it identified and shut down 936 accounts that were spreading this information, as well as what they called a spammy network of more than 200,000 other accounts which had been set up to amplify the message, but Twitter says that it shut them down proactively before they were able to do so. Facebook took action on this issue as well, acting in fact on a tip from Twitter on this same issue. They shut down 5 accounts, 7 pages and 3 groups, the biggest of those pages having a following of around 15,000 people. Some of those pages, for example, posing as news organisations, trying to drive people off Facebook to sites which presumably contain similar messages.
And what exactly led these companies to point the finger of blame for all this at the authorities in the Chinese mainland?
Now, both companies say they have investigated the origins of these accounts and that they're created by individuals in mainland China associated with the Chinese government. Now, this is the first time these technology companies have pointed the finger at Beijing when it comes to these sorts of propaganda operations on social media. In its statement, Twitter says that the accounts were deliberately and specifically attempting to sow political discord in Hong Kong, and that their investigations found evidence of a coordinated state-backed operation. Facebook and Twitter are blocked in China. Twitter says that these accounts were set up using virtual private networks, or VPNs, which is the way that most people in China get around the firewall restrictions that exist there. But there were other accounts that were also set up from specific internet addresses which are unblocked in China. The company says these accounts were all suspended because they violated their platform manipulation policies.
Interesting one. And of course, Stephen, all of this comes when social networks were being asked to do exactly that, to stop the spread of false information.
These companies have been under huge pressure going back as far as the Brexit referendum, also the US elections and other events too, where they found evidence of messages like these being disseminated on social media. Even with the Hong Kong protests, Twitter has come under criticism, particularly this last weekend, for allowing sponsored posts by China's state news agency Xinhua to be allowed on the platform. Twitter says that it's since changed its policy, that it will no longer allow advertising posts from these organisations, from state-controlled news media, but they say those restrictions will not apply to taxpayer-funded media or independent public broadcasters, which would include the likes of France 24.